My daughter had just transferred to a new school and got into a fight with a classmate, which led to me being called to the principal's office.
Mrs. Thompson, thank you for coming in. We need to discuss the incident between your daughter and another student.
When I saw the other student's parent, I felt like my throat had been squeezed shut. The other parent was none other than my ex-fiancé, John Smith. The air suddenly felt heavy. It had been 7 years since we last saw each other, and it seemed like time had only left its mark on my forehead, while he looked like a time traveler.
Anna, I didn't expect to see you here.
John, this is unexpected.
We both didn't know how to greet each other. The boy saw John Smith and immediately clung to his leg, crying.
Daddy, she hurt me.
Kathy also showed her disdain towards him. Well, kids these days are all pampered little darlings. Kathy had just transferred, and I didn't want her to leave a bad impression on the teachers. I just wanted to smooth things over.
Kathy is a bit hot-tempered. I'm sorry for the trouble. I'll make sure to educate her properly at home.
Be more careful next time.
John seemed eager to leave and just threw out his words before taking his crying baby and leaving. I thought that would be the end of it. But who would have thought that when I took Kathy home, we would run into them again? Same neighborhood, same building, even the same floor. They were our next-door neighbors.
Please take care of us in the future.
He gave a faint, almost mocking smile and nodded slightly before going inside. Judging by John Smith's aloof demeanor, he clearly had no intention of taking care of us. Good times didn't last long.
This is the property management. Your daughter and the kid across the hall got into a fight.
He started it by pinching my puppy.
Why aren't any of you adults at home? The kid across the hall has scratches on his face, and his family will be back soon.
I hurried to the fresh market and bought the biggest watermelon, just in season and quite expensive. Before the elevator doors even opened, I could hear the boy crying. John Smith must be so embarrassed. The watermelon was so big that I was already sweating slightly. As soon as I got out of the elevator, I put on a big smile and headed to the door across.
Kids, be good. Neighbors should get along.
Lucky was almost pinched to death by him.
I wanted to cover her mouth, but holding the big watermelon, I couldn't. So I glared at her, and she glared back at me. At this moment, John Smith came out from inside. His little one clung to his leg, crying even harder. For a boy, couldn't he be a bit tougher? Well, it's none of my business. I was here to apologize and foster good neighborly relations.
Sorry, our Kathy loves our puppy so much that she got impulsive.
This girl is as fierce as her mother.
Sure enough, cold and sarcastic. We almost got married, couldn't he give me some face?
More like her dad.
I handed him the watermelon.
This is for the kids. You should have some too, to cool off.
I don't eat watermelon.
He kept staring at Kathy, as if he couldn't get over this little incident. I had just moved into a... Kathy pouted and ran over, her small face full of indignation.
Why did you give Ding Dang Cat to that crying baby?
Handmade crafts are my main source of income. Recently, a live streaming platform noticed my skills and wanted to invite me to join their live sales. I practiced my weaving techniques even more diligently.
I'll make a new one for you tomorrow. Let's get along well with our neighbors, okay?
I patted Kathy's head soothingly.
He bullies Lucky. And he has a dad. I just hate him.
But you can't hate everyone who has a dad.
I tried my best to comfort her.
If he bullies Lucky again, I'll have Ding Dang Cat turn his dad into mine.
Back home, while Kathy was doing her homework, I confided in my bestie about running into my ex-fiancé. My bestie laughed so hard on the other end of the phone.
Look at this ill-fated relationship of yours. My bridesmaid dress is still hanging in the closet.
That really stung.
His wife must be very beautiful, right?
I asked the question that had been on my mind since yesterday, more like talking to myself.
Stop thinking about it. You left so decisively back then. He waited for you at your house for days and nights, and you didn't see him even once. Can't you let him live well now?
Yes, I was so determined back then. I almost forgot, I was the one who left first. Now I have Kathy. Suddenly, a scream came from Kathy's room.
Lucky!
I quickly said goodbye to my bestie. Rushing to her room, I saw Lucky lying on the floor.
Mom, do you think Lucky is going to?
I picked up Lucky, and Kathy quickly put on her coat and went out with me. When we moved, I specifically checked the nearby shops. I remembered there was a pet hospital just around the corner from our neighborhood.
Doctor, we need emergency help.
John Smith, wearing a white coat, came out from the back room. To make it convenient for Kathy to go to school, my best friend had helped me find this place, which was both well located and reasonably priced. I awkwardly smiled at him.
Please take care of us in the future.
He gave a faint, almost mocking smile and nodded slightly before going inside. Judging by John Smith's aloof demeanor, he clearly had no intention of taking care of us. To make it convenient for Kathy to go to school, my best friend helped me find this place, which was both well located and reasonably priced. I awkwardly smiled at him.
Please take care of us in the future.
He gave a faint, almost mocking smile and nodded slightly before going inside. Judging by John Smith's aloof demeanor, he clearly had no intention of taking care of us. To make it convenient for Kathy to go to school, my best friend had found this place for us. It was both well located and reasonably priced.
Cheerful. I'm sure you'll love it here. The neighborhood is great for
Early in the morning, after sending Kathy to school, I went straight to the pet hospital. A woman in a white coat was applying eye drops to a puppy.
Didn't Dr. Smith say we could take the dog home today?
If you're worried, you can take it home, but remember to come back for the infusion tonight. It can't go without it.
Was there a misunderstanding? Or did I misunderstand? Was John Smith's words last night just to comfort me?
I'll take it home and come back for the infusion tonight.
I took it home and asked for leave from school. In the afternoon, I took Kathy and Lucky to the park. Kathy was very happy all afternoon. While I was taking pictures of them, Lucky suddenly closed its eyes again. I touched its chest, the heartbeat was very fast. I panicked and called John Smith.
Don't you know its condition? Why take it out for so long? I'm coming over right now.
He really came quickly. A long-haired beauty, driving a Land Rover, brought him over. This setup already shocked me, but John Smith after getting out of the car surprised me even more. White shirt, black suit, blue tie. Isn't this the image of Lawyer Smith in my mind?
John, how long will it take?
Not sure. You should go back first.
See you tomorrow then.
John Smith nodded before she left. Did I interrupt some important date of his? Shouldn't his wife thank me? I initially felt very sorry for disturbing him, but suddenly, I didn't feel guilty at all. I thought he would at least bring some emergency medicine, but now it seemed he came empty-handed.
Let's go. Take it back quickly.
As he finished speaking, he was about to pick up Lucky.
I'll do it. Don't dirty your clothes.
To make it convenient for... The phone rang loudly, catching Kathy's attention. She grabbed Jessica's hand, eyes wide with concern.
Can we reschedule?
Teacher, a live broadcast takes a lot of effort to prepare. We can't keep everyone waiting just for you.
Jessica hesitated, glancing at John Smith. His presence always made her feel uneasy.
You go ahead, leave Lucky here.
Relieved by his offer, Jessica nodded and turned to Kathy.
Is that okay, sweetie?
Kathy, trusting John Smith, nodded without hesitation.
Thank you.
But worry gnawed at her. If Tom saw this, it would lead to another misunderstanding. She tried to pull Kathy away, but the little girl clung to John Smith's hand.
Uncle, you look so handsome today.
Jessica was stunned. Tom wasn't John Smith's child. Her earlier anger seemed misplaced.
I'll take Kathy back to do her homework. I'll come over later.
She hurried out, avoiding John Smith's gaze. But he followed her outside.
Jessica Wang. I'll bring you some food later. You take care of Kathy first.
No need, I can cook at home. You've already helped too much today.
Don't be so polite. You've had a long day. Go rest, I'll come by later.
I had moved to this new place to make it convenient for Kathy to go to school. My best friend had found it for me, and it seemed perfect, well located, and reasonably priced.
Please take care of us in the future.
He gave a faint, almost mocking smile and nodded slightly before going inside. Judging by John Smith's aloof demeanor, he clearly had no intention of taking care of us. Jessica moved into a new apartment, recommended by her bestie to ease the commute for her daughter, Kathy.
Please take care of us in the future.
John Smith, her new neighbor, responded with a faint, almost mocking smile and nodded slightly before retreating inside.
I will, but don't expect much.
It was clear from his demeanor that he had no intention of taking care of them. John Smith's intense gaze made me uneasy. I never expected a chance to start over with him. I had left, hoping he would find happiness. Seeing him now, I wondered if my heart-wrenching efforts were in vain.
I'm old now, and I have a child. I have nothing to offer you.
John Smith frowned, deep in thought. It wasn't something I wanted him to ponder for long. I turned to leave just as Linda returned with Tom and Kathy.
Auntie!
No, sweetie, you can't call me that.
I'm not wrong. Kathy said she wishes my uncle were her dad.
Kathy's hopeful eyes confirmed Tom's words, making the situation complicated. I had no choice but to take Kathy home.
Mom, why don't you like Tom's uncle? He's good-looking, takes care of the puppy, and buys us food. I like him. I want him to be my dad.
Silly child, not just anyone can be your dad. You can't call people like Tom does, understand?
A bad feeling settled in my heart. After putting Kathy to sleep, I stared at my phone. Sure enough, John Smith's message came in the middle of the night. Lucky is gone.
The bad news came after all.
Holding back my heartache, I went to the pet hospital. I held Lucky, ready to leave, and John Smith offered to go with me. I didn't refuse.
I'll go with you.
He helped with Lucky's final arrangements, and we agreed not to say much. It felt like losing a family member. I wanted to tell John Smith how much this dog meant to Kathy and me, but I was afraid he would ask more questions. The past shouldn't be his burden.
Thank you.
By the time we were done, it was almost dawn. Kathy called, her voice filled with tears.
Mom, you and Lucky are not here. Please come back.
I couldn't bear to tell her about Lucky.
My heart was heavy, and I blacked out.
Jessica! Jessica!
I heard John Smith calling anxiously, but I couldn't open my eyes.
No. Don't take me to the hospital.
To make it convenient for Kathy to go to school, my best friend had helped me find this place, which was both well located and reasonably priced. I awkwardly smiled at him.
Please take care of us in the future.
He gave a faint, almost mocking smile and nodded slightly before going inside. Judging by John Smith's aloof demeanor, he clearly had no intention of taking care of us. I never thought I'd end up here, wondering if I should have checked the feng shui before moving. My best friend suggested this place for its convenience to Kathy's school, and it seemed perfect.
I promise this place is great, and it's reasonably priced too.
I awkwardly smiled at the man standing in front of us.
Please take care of us in the future.
He gave a faint, almost mocking smile and nodded slightly before going inside.
Sure.
Judging by John Smith's aloof demeanor, he clearly had no intention of taking care of us. John Smith interrupted the beauty's curiosity.
Let's get down to business.
He then turned to me.
It's a good thing you found me. We'll definitely win this case, don't worry.
John Smith confidently walked into the courtroom with the beauty. I wasn't too worried about winning or losing, but I was really concerned about John Smith.
What extreme measures is he taking to ruin his own future? Telling everyone he likes me, how would he ever find a new girlfriend?
That day, I was in a daze. Later, the beauty told me that my case wouldn't be classified because the contract I signed with the live streaming company was not very formal.
Something about the anti-unfair competition law, but what did that have to do with me?
I don't understand.
But one thing is certain, you won't need to pay any compensation.
Half a month later, the result came out, just as we expected. The compensation claim against me was dismissed. Legally, I was dismissed by the live streaming company, and I had no objections to that.
When I signed the contract, they didn't tell me it was an employment relationship, and it was indeed my fault for not reading it carefully.
You need to pay a fee, and it has to be settled in cash.
Can't I transfer the money? This company's policy is too inhumane.
Sorry, it's the boss's rule, nothing we can do. Please come to pay the fee at 3 p.m.
Since they had helped me resolve the issue, I had no reason to refuse. In the afternoon, I arrived at the law firm on time. The beauty received me again, but the payment was to be made in the boss's office.
I felt like I was being set up.
Since I was already there, I had no choice but to face John Smith. We sat across from each other at the desk. Looking at him like this, he really had the demeanor of a boss.
I handed him my credit card, but he didn't take it. Instead, he handed me a card.
It's the card we agreed to save money for our little home, with your favorite Doraemon design on it. I've been fulfilling our promise, depositing money into this card every month.
He recounted each event to me seriously, like he was giving testimony in court, yet with an undeniable tenderness.
The year you adopted Lucky, I started learning how to run a pet shop and take care of pets. Later, my cousin got divorced and wanted to open a pet hospital, so I supported her and had her teach me about being a pet doctor. Last year, when you started looking for a house, I worked hard to persuade the family across the hall to sell their place to me.
He continued, each word more surprising than the last.
I've always been here.
I broke down. It turned out that all these years, the help from my best friend, including lending money, finding jobs, opening a shop, finding a school for Kathy, finding a cornea, and so many other things, were all him helping from behind the scenes.
John Smith.
I called his name, tears streaming down my face. I didn't know what to say. Maybe he really was the one sent by heaven to save me. He stood up, walked over to me, and hugged me. This time, I didn't refuse.
What reason did I have to refuse him?
This summer, he made me meet him again. Just like when I adopted Kathy back then. I'll stay with him as long as I can. Every extra summer is a blessing.